Good day, everyone. This is Debbie Bruck on the Health In Show, an affiliate program of Homeopathy World Community. We will be talking about plants and transforming our garden, transforming our yard or lawn, or even if you don't have a garden, how to begin. We have a special guest today, Phyllis Georgic, who is a marvelous, marvelous homeopath and a very long-time friend. I consider her the ultimate in sustainable living off of the land, and she knows how to do it. Any question you have, I'm sure she'll be able to give you an answer from her life of experience of making do with the minimal and really making the garden, what is it, let food be thy medicine? That's how I think about Phyllis. So she is the mother of 3 sons and 2 granddaughters. She studied homeopathy since 1985, well over 2,000 hours of formal training and 1,000 hours of study on training on nutrition, diet, herbs, midwifery, Tibetan Qigong, and other forms of ancient medicine and healing. I also wrote a little note that she's going to take us through little baby steps, because you can't jump in the whole swimming pool, but we're going to talk about that too. So if you have any questions, you can call in at 919-518-9773 or on Skype at Computers 2K Voice. Phyllis is also an excellent homeopath, studied with Dr. Banerjee of Calcutta, A.U. Ramakrishnan, M.D., David Little, formerly of the Himalayas, Iziaga, M.D. of Buenos Aires, Argentina, Dr. William Taylor, and many, many others. She's also studied with Tom Hurd, Jr., also a well-known Pennsylvanian instructor of homeopathy and founder of the Homeopathic Society of Greater Pittsburgh and master herbalist. I could go on and on. I want to get her on the air now and also welcome Dr. Deepak Sharma of New Delhi, India, of the Orbits Clinic. Congratulations to you for opening so many clinics to the public, and thank you so much for presenting on World Homeopathy Week, an excellent conference. So getting everybody together, we're ready to begin.
Thank you, Debbie, and good morning, Phyllis.
Good morning, and thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody who is looking at an old show on Nissan Communications, you're going to have to refresh your page. You might not get that message if you're looking at an old show. And thank you, Amnon, for tweaking all of our visuals and audios here today. So I'm going to look at the comments section if anybody has questions about their garden, about any particular plants. And Phyllis, we have a PowerPoint today that is going to start us with transforming our lawns into an edible garden. And we have a picture. I'm not sure whether you're growing your own wheatgrass.
No, that's actually garlic.
Oh.
That's garlic in a pool.
Okay, get us started with garlic, because I have garlic that I put it in the fall, and it's about, I don't know, probably, what is that, three to four?
Yes, and you're in North Carolina, so you're going to have a faster growing season than we have here, even in the southern area of Pennsylvania. But Tom's garlic, I would say by this mid-month, it will be about 2.5 to 3 feet tall. The garlic that he has actually looks like grass growing on other people's lawns. So every place on the lawn that looks like grass is actually garlic. And so there's a lot of garlic here. And
is it beneficial in any way in terms of companion planting?
Well, I mean, it loves to grow with grapes. That's probably its most fabulous companion plant are grapes. It loves it. And I learned about that early on, probably when I was maybe in my 20s, that wild garlic was always growing in between all the grape arbors everywhere from the time I was a girl when my dad bought the farm in 1966, and there were grapes there. There were garlic growing under it. I guess they just like to grow there. So that's probably the best place for it to grow. But you can really grow it anywhere. You can grow it on your lawn, and that's what Tom has done. He's taken 109 feet by 44 or 40 feet piece of property, which is basically a 1/16 of an acre, which is what most city lots are. And he has changed it and transformed it into just a growing medium. So there are, there's probably 145 different herbals throughout the property, and now he's got vegetables growing as well. So what he does is he grows the Jerusalem artichokes is what break up the soil. So if you've got really, really tough clay soil, if you plant Jerusalem artichokes in them, it will break up all of the soil and make it very loamy, and it also attracts a lot of earthworms. And earthworms also aerate the soil and make it very loamy. So for the past 4 years, I would say, maybe 5, he's had Jerusalem artichokes growing in this one particular patch, which is pretty wet most of the year. And he dug them up this year, and that's where he has planted most of the turnips, rutabagas, sweet peas, beans, and I think that's what's planted in there at this point right now. In fact, he put down the seeds
Are there
of
birds?
maybe. Pardon me?
We have birds singing in the background.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Oh, it's her. Is that you? Those are
Real birds.
They're real birds.
They're real birds behind me.
What kind of birds are they? Wow.
They are. They're just the regular. Just the birds outside.
Okay.
There's right outside the window.
Dr. Bob, do you hear those birds? Tell us what they are. When you hear them, they sound like. I don't know what they are. Okay. So, you know what? I'm so surprised you started to talk about Jerusalem artichokes, because I had purchased a bag of them and I didn't really know what to do with them besides eat them. But they were getting a little bit old, so I cut them up into little pieces and I stuck them in the ground, and they're now tall. They're growing.
Isn't it amazing?
Oh my
Aren't they
gosh.
amazing?
So
Yes.
you're saying that they turn the red clay into what you say loam. Maybe define loam for us.
Loam is something you can stick your fingers into, and you don't have to actually shovel it out or put your feet down onto the shovel and shovel it. You can actually put your hands down into the ground like a foot, and just pick up the earth and just, it just falls apart in your hands. So yeah, Jerusalem artichokes are a fabulous thing. They not only are they not only break up the soil, and they're a beautiful plant to begin with, because they are like a very, very tall fence, natural fence. You can use it as a natural fence if you care to.
What can be a natural fence?
The Jerusalem artichoke plants themselves.
Oh my gosh, you mean they're going to get really tall?
They'll grow to be 12 feet tall.
Uh-oh.
And in September around here, now you may have it earlier down in North Carolina, but in September we have flowers that are about that big around, and they look like sunflowers, but they're prettier.
Oh, I'm so excited. Now, what should I do? Because I planted them in the middle of a whole patch of mint.
Oh, they're fine. They'll grow fine, and the mint will do what it needs to do to cover the ground. But the Jerusalem artichokes are going to get big, and so they're going to take up most of the sun. They're called sun chokes, and they do choke out the sun to everybody else and keep it all for themselves.
Oh, wow. I'm so excited.
Yes, so the Jerusalem artichokes themselves have a natural form of insulin called inulin, and it actually lowers blood sugar. So it's a very good thing for people who are diabetics. Or people who are prone to diabetes.
Okay, wow. I'm very, very excited to learn all this news. So not only should I eat those crunchy, sweet Jerusalem artichokes, which kind of remind me about water chestnuts, and
right.
eat them raw, mostly eat them raw.
Or cook them.
Or
You
cook
can
them?
cook them. I like to cook them. The other day I had some lamb and I cut them up and cooked them with some broccoli and some onions, garlic, celery, and I think half a tomato and some red sweet peppers. And they were delicious. They were just fantastic.
Dr. Sharma, do you have a garden question or a quote?
No, I am just listening about the beautiful voice of the bird.
She's
Yes.
oh my gosh.
So it is really good to hear
I
about the
definitely,
song.
I am a person who has actually in the past, and Tom will attest to this, and so will many, my children will, and so many other people, that I would, at this time of year, there would be storms and birds would fall out of nests, and people, the children in the neighborhood would bring me the birds that had fallen out of nests, and I would nurse them back to health, raise them, and then release them. So I have birds that were actually would sit on my lap, on my head. I
Wild
would drive down the
birds?
road, wild birds.
Oh
wild
my
birds.
gosh.
So
And
that
then
is
I would release them out into the world again. I learned how to do that early on. So you have to learn how to be a bird mom.
You
So
are
actually,
a bird mom.
birds hang out with me a lot, and I do like birds.
since how long you are with these birds?
They're birds.
I think probably I started raising the first bird that was brought to me that I raised. There was a really bad storm, and I think this was probably like, I would say in the 90s, like 91, there was a really bad storm. I don't know, no, Hugo was in 86. So this was a couple years after that. There were probably like 6 birds that were brought to me, and I had 2 of them survived, and 2 of them I released back into the wild again. But throughout my life, even throughout the 2000s, early 2000, 2003, 2004, 2005, I was raising birds that would just like show up. Somebody would either bring them in or they would just like be there, and I would see them, and then I would start to feed them, and I learned how to be a bird mother.
You are a bird mother. We're gonna move you along. We're gonna move you along, bird mom. That's why we call you Back to Health Naturally. I have a quote here that says it's about cultivating a garden. A quote from Thomas Jefferson, which I think is really so important. No occupation is so delightful to me as the culture of the earth, and no culture comparable to that of the garden. And I want to do a little aside. I just heard a story on NPR that said mothers who pick up their baby's pacifier when they drop and put them in their mouth to clean them off transfer immunity to their little ones. And so this is very, very interesting how we do cultivate.
No, they transfer germs.
They
right?
transfer germs?
That's what they say here.
Basically, they've done a study and they found that they're boosting the child's immunity by giving them the saliva of the mother. And
Right,
that's also something like, I hate to say this on air, but when I was a new mom, I would chew the food for the baby and give it to them just like a bird would do to like regurgitate the food. And I wasn't regurgitating it. I just make it consistency. Okay, go ahead. Take it away with the cultivation of the garden, Phyllis.
Well, getting back to kissing again, that is basically how kissing came in, because the Latvian mother, grandma, would, in order to wean the baby from the mother's breast, would chew up the food and then spit the food directly into the baby's mouth, and that's where kissing became popular. That when we kiss each other, we're actually feeding each other.
I'll never kiss.
So isn't that nice? Isn't that sweet?
I'll never
I
kiss.
love that.
I'll never kiss again.
Oh, come now. But again, you were talking. Let's go back to.
We're talking about culturing our earth, culturing our soil.
Right.
Actually,
Culturing our
human
earth
culture.
with earthworms. Earthworms are your best.
I think there's a picture.
They can eat disease, and they will defecate wonderful, good soil for you. that's full of high in minerals. And the foods that grow there, it's an alchemical process. The seed grows and germinates of a turnip or a carrot, and then that carrot takes out those minerals. And in the process, from the sunlight, it grows into having all of the nutrients and all of the vitamins that the sunlight gives to us. And we do know that there are people who live, I think it's in India, maybe in the Himalayas. These are men who do not eat food at all. They extract from the surrounding area, the sun, the moisture in the air. They extract all the food that they need. And so basically, that's the alchemical process of growing the food in the ground that takes the minerals from the ground and then takes the nutrients from the sky and then combines it, and then we eat that food. And so that makes it a very wonderful symbiotic relationship. And certainly there are certain foods, like, for instance, turnips, according to, I think it's ancient Turkish understanding of alchemy, is that turnips are for deep-set resentments and deep-set tumors. So if you have deep-set tumors, or if you have a lot of resentment, and many of us have resentment, turnips are a good food for you to eat. In fact, I believe in the blood type diet by Peter D'Adamo, turnips are beneficial for every blood type. So turnips, which are root vegetables, are good for your lungs and for your breathing and your sinuses. Turnips, rutabagas, are actually kind of peppery, like a horseradish,
They're in the brassica family. It's a root vegetable. I don't know whether a beet is in the same family, but it certainly looks like a beet.
Right.
But it is a brassica, and Jeremy Sher did approving of brassica family. So we should learn a lot from him about that.
Right, and that's the reason why they're winter vegetables. Winter vegetables like rutabagas and turnips are good to open up your lungs, because in the wintertime it's cold. You have a lot of mucus in your lungs. What it does is it releases that. It releases the mucus from your sinuses and clears you. And of course, as long as you're cleared in your breathing areas, you are also not breathing any toxins that you might be breathing in. You're actually getting them out of you faster by the uses of these foods. And the more clean your colon is, the cleaner your mucous membranes are from your head all the way down to your colon.
I think I could listen to you all day. You have so much. I'm serious. You have so much to teach us about every little thing in the garden. So on the next slide, we just want to know, for folks who this is new to them, where should they begin?
Well, basically, beginning by taking, in the wintertime, let's begin in the wintertime. In the wintertime, all the leaves fall off the trees, and everybody likes to just bag them and put them into garbage bags and then give them to the either the garbage company,
the city
or the city comes and picks them up, and then they turn them into mulch, and then they sell the mulch back to you. So why not keep your black bags of leaves and use them to keep them on your turnips or on your beets, and keep them all winter long under there, and then you have things that are growing underneath those black bags that's actually a thermal mass. So it keeps the grass warm, and it keeps the vegetables warm. So you can actually just go out there and pick live food in the middle of winter. So you just move the plastic bag, you pull out your turnips, you pull out your beets, you pull out your carrots, and there they are. They were growing in the ground. The ground is still moist, and you'll actually find worms growing right underneath there in the coldest of winter. There will be worms against those bags, against the dirt, or the leaves. So you save that. So that's where you start. And then by the summertime, those leaves have now composted down, and that is real healthy soil. And lo and behold, inside those bags are the most loveliest of worms. And they were there as babies or as little eggs or whatever they were in their microscopic being in those leaves in the wintertime. And they now have fed inside that bag where they're nice and warm, and they broke down all those leaves into nice dirt for you. And so they've given you your compost, and now here's your dirt, and then you can fill it up into your pools or whatever it is that your containers are, or on your dirt on your property. And basically,
that's good.
Taking your grass that you have on your lawn. I mean, you've got property here that's growing grass, and every week you have to go and get a lawnmower, fill it with gasoline. It starts up, it makes a lot of noise, it puts out a lot of pollution, and you cut grass that basically is not going to do anything. Now you have this pile of grass, and you put it into a bag, and you give it to the compost, or you throw it out into the garbage. So you're not even using your grass clippings. You're not doing anything with this property. So might as well pull up all your grass, turn it upside down, let it compost.
I do that.
And then make your lawn full of food for yourself. I mean, now in this day and age where everything costs a lot and life is very difficult for most people, you can take a small city lot and turn it into a garden and not something that you have to maintain by cutting the grass every week.
Right. So we don't have to maintain a perfect lawn as we, people can't do the whole thing all at once, maybe like I did. It took, 30 years for me to cultivate my garden, but I did it in slow steps. So, one thing each year. So whether it's to plant a fruit tree or, as you said, till some of the soil, or turn it over, get rid of the lawn, which is maybe looking like mostly weeds anyway. And
well, it depends on what you think weeds are. If it's dandelions are very good, especially this time of year. After a hard rain, or take a hose and soak the water around it and dig it all up, and there you've got a whole lunch. There you have lunch. There's this big, huge, the root, the leaves, the flowers, they're all there for you to eat. And that's what you recognize. That's what's good for your kidneys. That's what will get rid of kidney stones. In fact, I've been having a lot of calls, not only from my daughter-in-law, but from some of my other clients who've actually been passing kidney stones. Wow, they've been passing kidney stones because they've been following my instructions to go out there and eat those dandelions that are cleaning out their kidneys and getting all those deposits out of there. So I'm giving out some berberis and some nux vomica also. But basically, a weed is something that you don't want growing in this spot. So it might be a weed because you don't like it growing there, but that doesn't mean it's a weed. Almost everything that grows on the planet, I can't think of anything that doesn't, has some sort of purpose within the planet. I mean, I've sent you some photographs of some things like cleavers. Cleavers is another thing that just grows on its own. Sometimes people call that bed straw. But if you touch it, it actually cleaves to you like Velcro. And you can cut that, make a tea from that, and that's also good for your kidneys. It'll also clean your kidneys out.
Cleavers.
So at this time,
do I have a picture of cleavers?
Yes, I sent you a picture of cleavers.
Is that one that's in the slide?
No.
No. Okay. So we'd have to do a little bit of research to find out this particular plant. Cleavers is one less familiar than dandelion most people know about.
Right, and most people see it, and again, they think of it as a weed, and it sticks to you, so they think of it as some kind of like a burdock or a burry plant, and they want to get rid of it. And it's a very good plant to have, and so when we see it growing, we don't get rid of it, we keep it. So
I have a question from the chat. It is from Dr. Bob. Where did it go? He was asking how deep should planting what?
Bed be to avoid root damage.
Okay. Did you get that? How deep should the planting beds be to avoid the root damage? And answer that, and also talk to us a little bit about your swimming pool, garden, and your boxes.
Okay, well, if you're going to plant something called like turnips or rutabagas or carrots, you want to have loamy soil that's as long as you want your plant to grow. So if you want a carrot that's like 10 inches long, you're going to have nice loamy soil for at least 12 to 15 inches deep. But you can start to plant things on a very, maybe 3 inches, 4 inches is where it can start. But you've got to have soil that's easily put your hands down into it if you want that carrot to grow that far down. It's only going to grow to where it can. And that's where the Jerusalem artichokes come in. Those Jerusalem artichokes will break up asphalt, in my estimation.
Wow.
They'll break up stone. They're grand. So they will break things up. And because they also break things up, they also worms like to gather into that area. And so you will cultivate a lot of worms in that soil.
Can you do a Jerusalem artichoke in a pot? Let's say somebody just doesn't have a lawn and they want to do some pot planting.
Yeah, sure, they can. I would say to get a 5-gallon bucket, and put it into that, because it's not going to grow very deep and you're not going to have a very big plant. They really like to, they're rhizomes. They want to expand outward. They get big and bubbly in places and large, but they like to expand. They like to go outward. And so you can start with a little tiny little piece that's about that big, and it will grow into something about this big and all bumpy and have little extra little nodules everywhere on it.
I'm considering transplanting my Jerusalem artichokes after learning all of this about the plant, because I don't want it in the location where it is, taking up the sun and pushing out all of the other things that are all around it. So that's okay for me to do, to just dig it up and...
It's not going to push them out. It's just going to become so large that there's not going to be any sun to keep them going. So underneath it, it's going to be like bamboo. It's going to be like how bamboo grows. It's going to be that thick.
Wow. So how big around are the stems?
Oh, they're, I would say maybe the largest stem would be about an inch around.
Okay.
I've seen them maybe a little bit bigger than that, but about that big. But they're very sturdy. They've got a lot of lignin in their material, so they can stand up really straight and tall.
Anybody out there have a question about your garden, about which plant to get started with? I mean, as a child, I always thought start with radish.
Okay, well, you can do radishes. I mean, you can throw in radishes. I remember as a little girl, we took a bean and put a piece of construction paper along the jar, and then put the water in, and the bean was at the side, and then the bean grew. Okay, and then we took this home at the end of the year and we planted it in our garden. But I think of the root vegetables. I think of the brassicas that can withstand cold weather.
Okay.
So I would always plant things like rutabagas and turnips and
I've not been successful with broccoli worms. What do I do to stop my worms on the broccoli and the cabbage?
If your soil is good and healthy, just like us, if we're good and healthy and there's some virus out there, we don't get that virus. If we're not healthy internally, then we're going to be susceptible to everything else that comes in. So what you need to do is make sure that you have, okay, let's go to the pools. If you take a large 5-foot diameter children's kiddie pool and you dig 12 inches out of your ground and stick that pool down into it and cut out pie shapes out of the corners of this round area so that you just have this cross in the center that holds the two ends and the sides together.
Does everybody understand? It's basically using the frame, the side of the pool, and cutting out quadrants, but leaving a line as if the axis, the horizontal and vertical axis in the center. So
right, and you can actually just cut out the centers and then fold back those little pie shapes, and then those will come like a little fin up out from underneath it when you put everything in. So you put down cardboard and you put down leaves, and if you want to, you can put in limestone and some sand and then more cardboard and more leaves. And so you make like a lasagna out of it, and then you take the dirt that you dug out and you throw that inside there and break that up as best you can. And then you can put some other soil, like the composted material from your bags of leaves that have composted down. You can put that on, or potting soil or whatever, and then you just lay that on top of all of this. Now what happens is you've got those little pointed areas there. In the wintertime, if you've got things growing, you can take another pool that's complete, not one that you've cut the bottoms out of, but you can put that on top, and you've made yourself a little mini greenhouse. Now you can take your bags of leaves that you've gathered.
Let me refresh that. So you've got the original pool that you've set in 12 inches into the ground, and you've cleaned it out, and you've enhanced and made this compost and really delicious soil here. And then you take, if you put another one over top of it, that it's dark. It's
yeah,
not.
That's for the winter time. So, but you have to understand that when you first plant a seed, it's like being in your mother's womb. It's not real light in there. It's rather dark. And so they kind of like it dark. They will actually know where the sun is, and they can see the sun through that plastic.
Really?
Even if it's blue. Oh, yeah. They can see the sun through the black plastic. Believe me, they know where the sun is. They're real orientated to that. They understand this very well. I mean, you can actually plant, if you can take nuts in the wintertime, like let's say nuts fall off of a tree, and you've got leaves and nuts, and you put them into that black bag. When you leave that all winter and you open that up, you've got a bunch of trees growing in there. This is the best way to start your trees. You want nut trees.
I love it. I love it.
I think this is a solution. This is the solution of our show on 22nd April by Dr. Rob. This is a solution for the pollution.
Solution for the pollution?
Oh yes,
Yes.
definitely. Oh, definitely. I mean, you don't throw things away. You repurpose everything. You take your handles from your brooms and you use them as a prop to hold up various things, or to if you want some dark and some light, and you want one of those pools to be on, then you don't want to put the pool the whole way down. Then you put a stick or something in there. So if you're not going to use a stick or a branch from a tree, then you're going to take an old broom handle or an old mop handle, and you put it in there, stick it in the ground, and then you put that
so it's
pool
like
on
an airflow.
Right. And it depends upon what you want.
Or
you
if it's a sunny day, then you want to start the greenery to happen.
Well, yes. Or let's say that you want the sun to shine on it during the day, but at night it's going to be cold and it might frost. So you put that on top. Or let's say that you want to like old blinds. People have blinds from their windows all the time.
Uh-huh.
Or these accordion doors, they break, fall apart. You just take them all apart, and that is what you use to lay down on the ground. So now they've got little slots in them. The rain falls through them, and you can actually grow the plants underneath, and you can raise it slightly up. I mean, you can hold it up with little things on the sides and make it slightly higher and higher and higher each time, but the water will fall down in. In the wintertime, you can use this as like a little Quonset hut type thing. And the rain will come in as it needs to, or the snow will lay on top, and then as it melts, it will drip down through and feed your plants. So you're basically using all of your materials rather than throwing them off onto some landfill. You're actually repurposing everything, using it, and not having to go out and buy all this stuff. Why go out and buy things when it's given to you? God gave it to you. Why not use it? The oil industry has made this stuff. Might as well use it again. Why throw away? All these people buy these plastic pools, and at the end of the year, it has a few cuts in the bottom, so they can't use it as a swimming pool for their kids. So then repurpose it. Use it for something else. I mean, we've got planters that sit outside all the time as decoration. You can make these planters as all sorts of decoration.
I love it. I'm just sitting here in joy listening to you, because there's not a little speck on this earth that you don't have a use for, or find, or acknowledge, or, gratitude and thankfulness about God's green earth and everything that's given. I just put up a little quote: if you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need. Marcus Tullius Cicero.
Yeah, right.
and if you have a little plot of square of earth, and Phyllis, I think you have everything you need. You just add a little water and sunshine, and she can tell you how to make it happen.
Yeah.
How about this next picture that we have here? It looks like squares, and it's not one of your round. It's not one of your round circles. It's these rectangular pieces of frames, and I don't know what you've got growing in there.
Okay, those are frames that when you go to the someplace to get your plants, and they have these little cups, and they sit into these frames.
Right.
Okay. Well, the cups are meant to fall apart, so they're gone. But these frames last. Okay. But sometimes these frames have large holes in the bottoms of them. So what Tom does is he takes cardboard and he sits that on the bottom, and then he makes these little tiny, a little bit of leaves and a little bit of that, and then he throws the soil on top of that, okay? And now all of that is little starts. So he probably has basil and cilantro and maybe a couple tomato slots for some people who want things for us. And this is the stuff that he packages up into these boxes. We get boxes from local taverns, or from the beer distributor in Pennsylvania. We have beer distributors. So they actually have boxes of that would be like cases of beer. And so he will put those inside there, and then you can put the lids on top of them.
The lid on top of what? The lid of what?
Well, you can put those into boxes, into the boxes like from the cases of beer.
Okay.
And then fold the lids on top at night so that they don't freeze, and then open them up and make them wide so that the sun can shine down into them.
So this is all in your garden. This is all your front yard, which is all plants. Right. And it must smell heavenly.
It does. And we have, I showed you the hawthorn. I sent out the hawthorn for you.
I have that picture here. I think
that grows right in the front of the house. And then last year he actually got a lady next door. Her sister or her mother gave us a piece of a lilac bush, and he planted that in the ground. And this year we've got lilacs growing on it.
I need to do something with the lilac. You give me a hint. How do I make my lilac grow beautifully?
Well, basically, you need to give it probably a little bit more wood chips. It's like berry bushes, and it needs sour. It needs acid. So put some acid around it. Put some.
Lime is lime is alkaline.
No, lime is alkaline.
So what about my pine trees? All the pine leaves.
You can put the pine needles around it. Yes, it'll grow well. It's a companion to pine. It's a companion to rhododendron or mountain laurels.
Okay, but I think I need to do something. Does it need a lot of sunlight?
It does. You can't put it in a real wet spot, and you can't put it in the like in a place where a larger plant is going to take away its sun. It's got to be in an open spot.
I think that's my problem. Okay, right. Can you talk to us about that hawthorn and the crataegus? Because I know you had some information.
Well, the hawthorn basically, hawthorn or crataegus. Hawthorn is a hawthorn berry. The haw sound is in Chinese is heart. So it means heart and breath. If you smell the blossoms right now, at first they have a nice sweet smell, but if you get closer into them, they smell like decay. And so basically, in ancient times, they would use a hawthorn as a funerary flower. because it would hide the smell of the decaying body during the funeral. But of course, they're only during the springtime. But hawthorn berries themselves is a tonic for your heart. So that's where the haw comes in the and it's got large thorns on it. So it's a hawthorn. So it's a thorny bush. It's for your heart. It's for your broken heart, but it also tones your heart. It's a very good toner for high blood pressure or low blood pressure. So we know that if you eat a lot of it, it will cause your blood pressure to go high. But in homeopathy, we know that what causes a symptom also
alleviates
the symptom or brings the symptom down. So it's a very good heart tonic.
But how do you eat this? You don't eat this, do you?
Yeah, you can eat them. They have like 3 or 4 seeds on the inside.
You mean a fruit or a nut or a berry, or what do you eat?
It's a berry. It's a berry. Right.
Okay, the hawthorn berry.
You eat the berry, and they are by November, the whole plant is loaded with these red berries. And you can eat them, and the seeds are as hard as stones.
So
you'll break your teeth on them. So you don't want them. So you can either grind them up and make a tea of them, or you can eat them. Or you can just make take all the seeds and a few of the leaves and make it into a tincture.
Tell us how to make a tincture.
Well, a tincture can be, a tincture is tea basically, but if you want it to stay and last, you put it in alcohol. If you want it to be a spagyric herbal, then you've got to put it through a glass container where it's not heated, but the pressure is lowered on the inside to the point where it will boil at the temperature of your own body. So 98.6 will make this alcohol boil. It will go up through this glass and condense down and drip down through the hawthorn berries and the leaves, and then it will make a spagyric herbal. Then when that tincture is completed, and there's no more color coming out, because tinctura means to color. Tincture means to color. So once the color is removed from that area, then what you do is you let that body of the material dry out, and they put it into a muffle furnace, which is a furnace that will just turn into a white powder. Then they can put that white powder back into it again, mix it all out, and then they take out what is called the caput mortuum, or the death's head, or the mud, and that's filtered out. Now, if you just want to make this as a tincture on your own, you just take the leaves and the berries and put them into a jug, put some vodka into it, some good high grade filtered vodka like Sky or Grey Goose or Organic Rain or whatever these, or some Polish potato good filtered vodka, and you just let that sit there for several days. You shake it up every once in a while. It's good to shake it up on a Sunday because it's a sun herb for your heart. And so it's good to shake it up on Sundays or the sun time of the day, which is in between 1:10 and 2:45 in the afternoon or something like that.
We'll have to do a whole show about making tinctures. We have 2 questions in the chat here. We have one from Marilyn, Shannon, who has her own show. What is it called? Breaking Free. And that is on Monday night, tonight. So tune in later to Nissan Communication. She wants to know, how much food do you produce for your own consumption?
Well, you know what? On 109 by 40 feet, you can produce a lot of food. You can produce more food than you need. So we give away a lot. We actually make up these little pieces of like, for instance, he's got 3,000 turnip seedlings started. And he's going to take that one pool that I think might even be on the PowerPoint, and he's going to put some turnips into there, and he's going to put some basil into that. But a lot of this stuff is actually, he uses something called a French intensive, where food is placed right next to each other. So there's not 18 inches of space between
near the end.
One turnip and another turnip. So these turnips might grow to look like carrots. So they'll grow long rather than wide.
They'll grow long rather than wide.
Correct. And
okay.
you've only got like 12 in that pool there. You've got like 12
is that,
inches.
Do you see the picture? Is this a pool?
Yes, that's a pool on the right-hand side there with all the bag leaves around it to keep it nice and warm.
I see. So that's like a little cushiony insulation. So you fill plastic bags with leaves like you do in the fall, and
Right.
that's going to be your insulation around. So that pool, is it raised above the ground or is it inserted?
No, it's actually inserted about 10 inches into the ground.
Okay.
And then the bag leaves are around that, sitting against the ground. And these are bag leaves from last year, so they've somewhat composted, but they still maintain a thermal mass. And if in the wintertime, if you had food growing in there, you could put another pool over top of that, and that thermal mass, and like I said, those little pieces of the little fins that you turned up that were on the inside, those will click down, and you can keep the lid down of the other pool on top of it, and then you put another maybe half bag of leaves on the top of it so that holds it down so the wind doesn't blow it away, and then it makes like a little indentation, and you put holes in that everywhere, and the water falls down or the snow falls down into that. So when you want to get your food out, you just take off that bag, lift up that lid, and you pull out whatever food you want out of there, your rutabagas or beets or whatever you've got planted. You pull them all out, and now you've got greens actually growing.
You can eat from your garden all year. So, Marilyn, I hope that answers your question. I think that she is a self-sufficient organic gardener, and her yard feeds her family and the neighborhood as well. We have a question about ants. Is there a tip for making ants go away by companion gardening? This is asked by Cheryl Mott.
Right, and basically, you've got to find out. There are books that talk about what companion plants grow with other things, and sometimes what you're doing is you're pulling out a weed that you think is a weed, but really is a companion plant for that food. And most of the time you have ants because you've got soil that is too acidic for the plant you've got growing there. So you want to put in some lime. So you want some limestones in there, and that will take that away. I mean, you don't get ants in your home, in the kitchen, or anywhere. You don't get ants around the base of the foundation of your home, or ants that make these big colonies out in your garden. Right, and you do have them, and you can use baking soda to get rid of them. You can use borax, vinegar will get rid of them. So you can use natural products that are safe for the environment to get rid of them. If you have a real bad problem with them, I always would take really hot water, boiling hot water, and pour that on that area, and they go away. But it's basically because you've got something there that they want to eat. They have some acidity there that they want.
Acidity.
Most of the time, or some sweet. It depends. Different types of ants want different things. Some ants want meat, and some want sweet. So you've got to see what's going on in there. And if you had a lot of worms and your soil was very loamy, you won't have any ants because the ants are there to break up the soil.
Fascinating. Okay, do we have any other questions coming in? Yes. Go ahead. Tell us what I think Julie Seibert, she has a show on, Wednesday. Reawaken Your Brilliance. Check out Nissan Communications when Julie's speaking. Go ahead.
Yes. Julie Shabert says, I have read that it is good to use Melanie since she is a master. I would have to hear her take too. And the other question is from the Charlie Mode. The ants, it make them gone away or kill them by the borax or things you are telling about to get rid of the ants.
The borax.
Is the-
this is from Kathy's. Want to know about getting rid of the horrible fire ants?
Okay, well, you know what? Fire ants are definitely Formica rufa. You can actually take probably a 3x of Formica rufa, or even better. Grab some of those ants and put them into a blender with some distilled water and blend those suckers up. Give them a good blending, and then take and spray all of that everywhere around where you don't want them. And that's a natural homeopathic to make them, actually, that's more of an isopathic. It will make them stay away. All their Formica rufa and all their body parts and all their hormones and whatever will be everywhere, and they will just think this is like a Holocaust, and I don't want to be there anymore.
And we know
so
that Formica rufa is for gout as a specific remedy for that homeopathically.
Right.
I think
and
there
so
was.
and what is gout? Gout is uric acid. So again, these animals are looking for a particular acid, and that's the reason why they're there.
Okay, we have a question from Julie Seibert again. Reawaken Your Brilliance asks, what do you think about composting animal waste?
I don't. Well, for instance, it depends. If it's animal waste that is from horses and cows and goats and sheep, that's fine. Chickens are very acidic because they don't have a singular urinary tract and a gastric tract. This is all together. So as a result, it's really tough. That actually will burn everything out. Composting of horses and cattle is probably the best and easiest. Things like dogs and cats and human waste is just too loaded with too many bacterium that you don't want on your food.
Okay, we're coming near the end of the show. Kavitha Kukinor, homeopath, asks, the last time I grew beans and methi, which I don't know what that is, METHI, a funny thing happened. It became like a hybrid where she saw the bean coming from the methi plant. I have no idea.
Okay, so what she's doing is they were cross-hibernating.
Pollinating.
Pollinating. Thank you. They were cross-pollinating, and sometimes we do have, for instance, a particular type of oregano that grows here.
She called it fenugreek. I don't.
Yeah. Okay. Fenugreek. Methe. It means mint.
Mint.
So it's a type of mint. So what has happened is it has cross-pollinated, and now she's got a natural, genetically modified food.
We will talk about GMOs at another date, but don't forget, is it May 25th? There's the big Occupy Monsanto. Please go there.
Right.
Be involved.
Any of you people who know are in Pittsburgh area, it's going to be on 21st Street, 57 21st Street, which is in the Smallman, which is in the Strip District near Smallman, Penn Avenue, and Liberty Avenue, and be there.
And if you go on the internet and go to Occupy Monsanto, I don't know if it's .com or .org, it will have every country in the world practically listed and every state in America listed. There are activities, will be at the Capitol buildings or in some region of your area that you can go and participate in this world event to stop genetic engineering of our foods that are obviously not labeled, so you have no idea if you're eating a fish and a tomato or something else that you don't really want to be there.
Right, it's called marchonmonsanto.org.
Yes, march on, okay, occupy-monsanto.com. Okay, we have covered so much area. We did not talk about water, but I think we're going to have to save that for another time. I have another little quote that says, the true object of all human life is play. Earth is a task garden. Heaven is a playground. Gilbert K. Chesterton. Do you want to comment upon that?
Well, basically, you can make your heaven here as your playground here on your earth too. You can make it. We could definitely. There's not there is more than enough land to grow more than enough food for everybody on this planet. And if we could find somebody off-world who needed our food, we could send it there too.
And when I was younger, I read the book, The Good Earth. And today, we're going back to the earth. They're telling people, go outside and walk barefoot a little bit. Get connected to the earth, because we've lost that connection. Kids today don't know where their food comes from. They have no idea. And you could show them a plant, and they don't know the name of it. They don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's the shame. That is the shame, that little children in inner cities think that green beans come out of a can from the grocery store. They don't know how they grow.
Yes, and
Yes.
I try not to buy anything in a can because of the bisphosphenol A, the BPA chemical liner that's inside
Right.
of your cans. So you
Right.
really don't want to, they're hormone disruptors. And so all these years that we think that we're eating good food that's preserved for us on the shelf, it's really not. Homemade canning is a totally different thing. Those are in jars. So I do
That's
look for
right.
things that are in jars.
Right. Well, basically, this is the military industrial complex that has given us canned food. You know, that was canned rations for the Army, and that's where Spam came from in Hawaii. Spam, now they have like 27 varieties of Spam, and they feed this to people in Hawaii. It's just amazing. I mean, they make sushi out of Spam. Oh God!
They make sushi out of Spam. Oh boy. Okay, so it says, a garden is a grand teacher. It teaches patience and careful watchfulness. It teaches industry and thrift. Above all, it teaches entire trust. Gertrude Jekyll. And I know that in my service today, this week, we were talking about having faith, having trust that the Creator will provide for us. And, you know, when we leave our garden fallow to rest for a year and believe that we will have the provisions. I mean, these are things that we learn by being in community and being close to nature. What do you say, Phyllis and
Basically,
Dr.
when
Deepak?
you let your garden fallow, but what you're allowing is you're allowing the natural foods and the natural plants that we call weeds to grow there. So when you keep on trying to cut your lawn all the time, it will eventually stop growing these pernicious things called grass, and it will start to grow natural indigenous weeds or food back in it again.
Yes.
And so what people are doing is they're going to Monsanto and getting their surf and turf builder or whatever, which kills all the natural indigenous and brings back all these pernicious weeds called grass that doesn't belong there. So basically allowing your place.
I love it. You just reverse the whole definition of weeds. You turn the lawn into the weed. I love that. Dr. Deepak, did you have a comment? And maybe you can give us a little something from India to take home with us today.
Yes, I'm very happy to listen about this show. Thank you, Phyllis. And I just mentioned one plant. This is the Osimum centum.
Okay.
The family
Holy
from the
basil?
Osimum. This is the because this is the only plant here in India. We are just call it the Tulsi, the only plant which produce the oxygen 24 hours.
Yeah.
So it's a shrub about 3 or 4 feet. Also, and it also clear the soil. It also clear the environment in the home. And in the ancient time of Indian families, every Indian family has a tulsi plant. It's called a Osimum centum, and it's have a lot of properties to reduce blood pressure, to help for a healthy lungs, for a healthy skin. It's very useful. So you must add it.
Phyllis, can we get the Osimum, the holy basil here in America?
Oh yes, we love holy basil. In fact, I was trying to find some holy basil seeds. We have them hidden somewhere here in the house, and that was something he asked me for. Where's the Tulsi? Find the Tulsi, Phyllis. I need the holy basil. Where's it at? And I said, I can't find it. So that's what I've been looking for. But I do like holy basil. And I do like my my Indian spices. I use them in my food all the time. I use coriander. I use cardamom. I use cumin. I use
turmeric.
Turmeric. Turmeric. I have a turmeric that I actually had dried, and I just shave it off and put it in everything. It's in everything. Everything I eat it has all of my Indian spices. If, in fact, as I speak of Indian food, my mouth is salivating. So I have a tough time not.
Okay,
I mean, everything.
If you find those seeds, send me some. And we have an important question from Marilyn Shannon, who says, "What book would you recommend to use as a resource?"
Geez, I really don't know. There's a book called Golden. Oh, and I have it, and I printed it out. It's on one of my old computers, and I bought it, and it was just it was the Golden Garden or something like this. I can't remember what it is now, but it talks about companion plants. It was basically just an ebook, and
okay.
I printed it all out, and it was in a 3-inch binder. So I put it into those protectors. Yeah, the sleeves. And
okay, that's going to be, if you want a mission.
The Golden Garden.
Phyllis,
that's all I can figure is it must be that.
Phyllis, it's time to write the book.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Yes.
I guess it is.
Okay, you guys have been awesome. This has been such a powerful, informative, fun show together. And if you would like Phyllis back, she's going to come back June 3. Please send us feedback. Did you enjoy the plant show? Do you want her to talk about more plants? Or would you like her to talk about homeopathy, which she's also, I know that she's brought the dead back to life. And
plants. I actually was in an office with a chiropractor who didn't like any plants, and I had plants sitting everywhere, and he would let them sit out in the foyer area where the freezing cold would come in, and I would bring them in, and I would give him homeopathy, and he goes, she brings them back to life every time.
And I mean people you bring back to life as well.
Yes, I have brought back animals.
Okay, it looks like Cheryl has voted. She wants more plants.
Okay.
Kathy, more plants. Dr. Deepak, I don't know if anybody out there, send us an email at homeopathyworldcommunity@gmail.com or go to homeopathyworldcommunity.com or on Facebook, Homeopathy World Community. Yeah, and give us your feedback so that we know what you would like to hear on the upcoming show. Oh, Kathy wants to know about homeopathy with plants and gardens. Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yes, right.
Okay.
And I have a plethora of info about that too.
Okay, and we didn't talk about water, but that'll be another day. Go ahead.
Philip, are you using the agro-homeopathy or not?
I use some homeopathics, especially when you're trying to heal in the plant. If you use some arnica as a spray on them, you can use silica on the area in general. But most of the time, the homeopathy that I'm using on the plants are, if there are pests in them or if there's some sort of blight, then I will take those pieces off and throw them into a blender with distilled water, whirl them all up, and then just use them as like a tincture in an 1x potency and spray that on the plant. That normally works pretty well.
Awesome.
That's nice.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Okay, so our finishing slides, I wanted to just...
So one more question.
Go ahead.
One more question from Maria. What potency you use for the plants?
Probably like 6x, 3x, something low, because they're in vibratory, as we are all vibratory, as we are all one in the singularity. But nonetheless, they have more of a need for the real hard minerals. So that's when I give them, the potencies are very low. I don't ever give real high potencies. And I'm a person that likes LM potencies, so LM potencies are low potencies anyway. From 1 to 5 to 7 to 9, they're very low potencies. And I normally as a homeopath, don't get much past 9 or 10 LM. And that's probably as high as I've ever gotten. I find them much more important than 10 M's and 50 M's, which I never would ever use. So all the cures I've ever done with anybody and all the work that's ever been done that works for these people in miraculous ways have been 3 LM, 4 LM, 5 LM. You know, whether it's pneumonia or whether it's brain problems or children who have autism or whatever, it's all low potencies that I use. They work much better.
Thank
For
you.
those people who are interested, Shelley in the chat has asked about whether this is archived. Yes, all of our shows are recorded. You can see them right here on Nissan Communications or on Homeopathy World Community where they are reposted. And so now we're just going to, I want to close with, to help Homeopathy World Community participate in the Stewards of Children Darkness to Light educational program. An international organization called Stewards of Children educates adults how to recognize and protect children from sexual abuse. You can find that by going to Homeopathy World Community and clicking on the green little button there and learn more about this program. I would like in the future to be able to present live webinars to teach folks how to recognize the signs and symptoms that something's happening with the children, either in your home, in your school, in your religious congregation. People who leave kids, never leave your child alone with another adult, with one other adult. Always have some sort of protective system in place. And we're going to talk more about that in the future. I'd love your support. The next thank you and gratitude to Smiling Amnon today, and Phyllis to bring such joy and light, and Dr. Deepak for your questions and comments.
Thank you.
May 14th, Dr. Circus he's a famous physician talking about cancer treatments. May 20th, Dr. Isaac Golden returns talking about homeoprophylaxis. So if you're considering what to do for vaccinating your children and have many questions, he could probably answer. May 28th is Memorial Day. It's up for grabs. I don't know what's happening. June 3, you're going to be back. And I think we're going to be talking about plants and homeopathy. June 10th, Dana Trentini, she calls herself the thyroid lady. This is a major problem for women today, and I would like to hear what she has to say. And June 17th, Dr. Ganshayam Kalathia is going to talk about the sensation method of homeopathy. He is a fabulous teacher. Upcoming this week, Wednesday, Dr. Adil Chimtalawala Kasim will be talking. Oh, he's not going to be in. He's away, I think he went on vacation. I'm not sure. So you're going to be stuck with me. Whatever I have to say, I'm going to continue my talk on Dr. Herbert Roberts. And he is magnificent. Learning about homeopathy, we really go deep into understanding it. Thursday from 1 to 2:30, Alan Phillips, attorney at law, vaccinations and your rights in America. And if there's time, I'll be talking about stress and homeopathy. I think we've come to the end of the show. And everybody take a big sigh, get back to the earth, go out and take a walk.
Go out and dig in the dirt.
Dig in the dirt, survey your property.
Dig in the dirt.
Even if you're in an apartment, you can still do a little planter in your window.
Right. You can use those pools on your balcony. And if people have little balconies in their apartments, they can put those pools out in the back and grow lots of stuff. You'd be amazed how much food you can grow.
I love
in those pools. Yep, it's great.
Okay, lots of love, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Love you. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Bye.
I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
So much.
Hey, everyone. If you watch Reawaken Your Brilliance, you know I often talk about getting off the couch. The reason I do this show is because I want you to live the amazing life that you are meant to live. Last year in Raleigh, I started the Thrive series, which were on a variety of topics that I myself have personally struggled with and know that many other people have. After a year of doing things locally, my listeners said, "Hey, Julie, why aren't we included? Why don't you do these panel discussions online?" So lo and behold, I have started them. They are on a variety of topics, again, that I've personally struggled with, all with the motivation to get you off the couch and for you to be living the amazing life that you're meant to be. Are you struggling with procrastination? Well, that's going to be our next event, Tuesday, May 14th from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night. Are you stressed because you're running around at the last minute always doing things? Are you fighting with your spouse because he procrastinates and doesn't pay the bills? Are you losing money because you haven't taken the time to sign up for your company's matching retirement program? Do you need to lose weight but you've been putting off going to the gym? We have a panel of 3 body, mind, and spirit experts who are going to help you tackle pesky procrastination. Geraldine Thomas, you might have seen her on Hoarders, is going to talk about how the common mistakes that she sees with people when it comes to procrastination. Psychologist Susan Orenstein is also going to show you your common traps and help you to learn them so you'll be able to spot them and quit procrastinating. And finally, Julia Rogers-Hamrick is going to talk from a spiritual perspective of why you procrastinate. And if you're like, "Hey, I've got to knit my grandma's kitty something that night," no worries, because we record everything and you'll have up to 7 days to watch. And if you sign up from the events page, there's a link to take you there, and you can save $5 with the code. So no excuses. Get off the couch and quit procrastinating.
That was Julie. She's going to be on Wednesday. And talking about crocheting, check out Phyllis's Crocheted Sweaters. It's on Homeopathy World Community, Phyllis, Georgia. Thank you.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays 9 a.m. till noon. Carrie's Psychic Cafe with Carrie Silkowski, Sundays 8 till 9 p.m. Health Inn with Debbie Bruck, Mondays 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 8 till 9 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays 9 till 10 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by thatvidblasterguy.com, carolinaapparel.com, and deltaforce.net.